In this review of the week's news, a man sports a firearm at a Christchurch work and income building, more uncertainty for the Sumner skate park, and a sweet idea goes viral. This is CTV News Week in Review. I'm Jared McCulloch. It's the second time a firearm has been brought to a Winds office in just over a year in Canterbury, with a man allegedly sporting a firearm this week at a Christchurch work and income building. Chelsea Daniels explains.
A 32-year-old man has faced court today after allegedly trying to enter the Linwood Winds office holding a firearm.
Police were alerted to an incident at the Linwood Work and Income office shortly before 8:45 this morning. The man failed to gain entry to the office and fled the scene in a vehicle.
Police responded quickly, with up to 6 police vehicles stopping the man as he fled from his car along Ferry Road. The man was then arrested following a short foot chase.
He did run from our staff, and our staff did a fantastic job. They ran after him, located him, and subsequently arrested him.
No one was injured in the incident, despite all Winds officers in the Greater Canterbury area being placed in lockdown. They have all since reopened.
But I wanted to just reassure the public and all people that in Canterbury, it's about not tolerating this sort of behaviour and ensuring that when people behave in this way and use firearms, then we will hold them to account, and I want people here to feel safe and to be safe.
Police say the firearm was not found on person, but one has been located.
I believe it's possibly a shotgun.
Public Service Association National Secretary Richard Wagstaff said in a statement, "This sort of threat is completely unacceptable, and we are grateful that nobody was hurt." The value of more security on site, a measure introduced following the tragic shooting at Ashburton, has been shown today.
Oh, look, I think not only just Ashburton, but all incidents where firearms are used, it's always a concern to police. And obviously to the members of the public that they are a concern for anyone if it's presented, or even the threat of it being presented. So we take these very seriously, and obviously our staff responded very quickly.
Police are unsure what the disagreement was about, but are continuing to investigate. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
The future of the Sumner skate park development is in turmoil, with the current plan to build the project dumped. Now there's uncertainty for locals where the new site will be and how it will be funded. More delays for the Sumner community, with the controversial skate park being stalled once again.
Disappointing that we didn't put the resource consent on hold and have that still as a backup instead of actually revoking the decision that we made in May. I think the decision we made in May was a really good one, and I think that the site is a really good one.
Last night, the Community Board stopped the progression of the project due to financial issues. American clothing brand Levi's withdrew its $180,000 funding after the consent process for the skate park was delayed. Now, with the Christchurch City Council unable to fund the project in full, it's now left in turmoil.
There's no budget for that. There's no project in the long-term plan for a skate park in the area, and so trying to convince other councillors that a skate park is a priority in the area when so much else is going, I think it's going to be a really tough ask.
The council will now start from scratch to find a new location, with the closed Marine Tavern marked as red zoned being eyed up.
That would be excellent if we could use that site, but it's currently in the Rockville red zone, and so there's no guarantees of that. And I think that having the other site, it wouldn't cost us anything to put it on hold, but we could have the other site as a backup if this one doesn't go through. And we don't know what sort of geotech will be needed and all of that. Plus timing is a real issue on that one as well. We don't know when the bunds are going to be built and how much space that will allow us.
But there's a long way to go to get it approved for development through the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Authority. The site would be used for car parking as well.
Community funding, I think, is going to be essential for this, and the community were prepared, they said at our meeting last night. They have set up a Sumner Skate Club to start fundraising, but the build cost for the Esplanade site is likely to be a lot less than a future designed one, and so the capacity of the community to fundraise more money, I'm not sure is there. And I think they'll give it a really good go, but I'm not sure that they'll get there. And plus we still need the council funding for all the planning and processing.
They're now looking to the community to help fund the park, with the trust already set up to raise the money, a large amount due to take some time.
When you're trying to put a skate park in a heavily built up area without a lot of open space and gaps, it's always going to be a wee bit controversial. People's fears over what a skate park will do and what it will bring are often more fear than reality.
There's hope private investors and the community can come together to make the skate park a reality, with many locals wishing it'll all come together. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. The controversial Trans-Pacific Partnership deal has been made official, with trade leaders coming to an agreement this week, but an anti-TPPA group in Canterbury is not giving up yet.
That we have successfully concluded the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations.
The Trans-Pacific Partnership deal has been signed off. Overnight, a free trade agreement was struck between 12 Asia-Pacific countries, 5 of them new partners to New Zealand, including the United States, Canada and Japan.
What we're doing is, on the more difficult issues, establishing a direction of travel. Unquestionably, we will see adjustments to that direction of travel. This will open up political space for future generations of trade ministers from our countries to build on this.
But back on our shores, a campaign group sees it differently.
Disappointed, obviously, but not exactly surprised, although a little bit surprised about how easily we did cave in on the dairy aspect and how little there is for us in dairy.
2 months ago, over 100 people turned out to hear from the opposition and minor parties about the ongoing TPPA saga. Back then, the focus was for the government to release the document that was left in secrecy.
We're still going to be going ahead with the declared Christchurch TPP free until we know what's in the text. And so this is the time now that the government really, we're calling on them to release the text and all the supporting documents.
The group believes the information is vital and could help with the future trade talks and what could benefit the country and region.
New Zealand would have been hoping for a lot more. My question is whether even the money that comes in from dairy is going to stay in New Zealand. So the idea that it creates lots of jobs, this $2.7 billion in 30 years' time, is questionable anyway.
With dairy being one of the main talking points, so too were other areas.
Tobacco has been carved out, and that's great. That shows that public pressure has worked to a certain extent. That some health aspects have been changed. We don't know really how much is going to be protected.
She believes Canterbury may benefit from the deal, but says there could be repercussions.
There hasn't been a great impact for dairy, a great access into these other markets apparently. There may be other agricultural impacts, so there may be a bit of extra money that comes into Canterbury, but we've also got to think about our water issues in Canterbury with dairy. We need to have a good grasp of what's in this. I mean, the secrecy should definitely end here. We need to know the whole lot about what's in it and what's in it for New Zealand, what's in it for Canterbury.
And although it's not the outcome the group wants, they're not giving up.
We're going to be continuing with that campaign to declare Christchurch TPP free. I think the most positive thing is that we are talking a lot more about this, and I think we need to start looking at a wider question of whether these kind of trade deals promote the values that we want to promote.
They hope to take their 800 signature petition to Council next week. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. Still to come, the Icefest event has been left frozen for now. Welcome back. It's hoped nearly every Kiwi throughout the country will experience 10 times faster internet speeds by 2025. But does this mean rural parts of Canterbury will finally get the connection they've been hoping for? Chelsea Daniels reports.
The government has announced plans for a 10-year strategy for national broadband. They want 99% of Kiwis to experience download speeds of 50 megabits per second by 2025, with only about 40% being able to do that now. But how realistic is this figure?
I think it's eminently achievable, and I'd like to hope it will go even further, but at the same time we want to be bold with our vision, but also be realistic.
The remaining 1% should be able to access speeds of 10 megabits per second. Rural communities have experienced long delays on reliable broadband, and Adam says it's no surprise.
Well, it's very expensive. As you get into a situation where you have only a small number of people occupying a large area of land, the cost gets higher and higher. And one of the things I don't think often rural communities are aware of is the government has so far spent $2 billion on connectivity programs, and actually we're spending more per person in the rural areas than we are in the urban areas. But in the rural areas, it costs so much more to do a connection.
She says the importance of high-speed broadband for New Zealanders is vital, especially in rural areas like North Canterbury.
I get so passionate about this stuff. Every single thing we do is going to be revolutionised by technology. So whether it's getting education out to our kids, even in the most remote communities, whether it's providing healthcare from birth to right through to old age, the internet means that we can have the highest quality of resource available everywhere. It's around connecting as communities and as individuals. It's, Skyping your grandkids on the other side of the world.
She says rural communities will benefit the most under the new targets, which mark a tenfold increase on the current peak speeds.
When the National Government took office in 2008, rural broadband speeds were incredibly low. They were less, for most people, less than 1 megabit a second. I know in my home we were getting about 200 kilobits a second, so that's 0.2 of a megabit. So we set our first goal as saying we wanted to get that up to 5 megabits a second, which is a pretty good functional speed and a huge improvement on what was there. And so that's what the Rural Broadband Initiative has been about.
And rural communities should expect to see faster internet by the end of next year.
Well, by the end of December next year, we will have finished the rollout of what we're calling RBI, so the Rural Broadband Initiative Phase 1, and that's to get speeds of 5 megabits a second available to 97.8% of New Zealand. So that's where we'll be then, and as I said, that's a huge step forward. But already we're working on the Rural Broadband Initiative Phase 2, which is to move those speeds up even further.
The 2025 target is aligned with the government's approach to boosting economic growth throughout the country.
It's absolutely transformative. We had a report out from the Innovation Partnership last year that said that if all of the small businesses in New Zealand were making the most of the internet to not only do things like drive sales, but actually to increase productivity, to monitor their efficiency, to track their environmental impacts, we could see productivity gains of around $34 billion. So there are huge wins in this. As I said, whether it's, if you're on a farm, whether it's monitoring pasture growth, effluent levels, water levels, production levels in real time, the efficiency gains are tremendous.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
Things aren't looking as frosty as it seems for the Icefest, with Council reassuring the public that festival organisers are hoping to start fresh in 2017. Chelsea Daniels explains.
The future of Icefest remains uncertain, with a review of the festival going to Council on Thursday.
We've asked to put the festival back by a year to allow for the new Antarctic strategy, which is due in the coming 7 months, to be put into place, and that will set the context for the festival. So we're not doing the festival in 2016, or that's what we're asking for, but the festival will continue to go ahead. This is just a pause.
Although it costs around $1.5 million to fund the event, the pause is not a matter of money.
We have various stakeholders involved with the festival. Most of them are Antarctic partners and others. And they very clearly stated that they want the Antarctic strategy in place and the position of Icefest vis-à-vis that strategy to be known, because it's an investment for them. So it isn't a question of money. That's not why we're pushing back.
Of all staff recommendations being put forward to Council this week, canning the festival altogether is the least favourable.
We have to mention in any report going to Council all possible options around the decisions for a festival, and that includes disestablishment or a discontinuation of a festival. But that's option number 3, and it's not our preference, and I don't believe it will be the preference when it goes to the committee on Thursday.
The Antarctic strategy is due within the Council financial year, which explains the delay of the event.
It's a holistic way of looking at the Antarctic industry and community for the entire city, and that will encompass everything from logistics, the political dimension in which we work, public outreach, education, research, all elements of Antarctic activity here in the city under one strategy.
Icefest celebrates Christchurch's special Antarctic gateway status, a title we have had for over 100 years. And she says the festival is an important part of Cantab culture since its beginnings in 2005.
It's a very important festival because Antarctica, the fact that we are an Antarctic gateway is unique. Well, we're one of 5 cities, but the festival is a celebration of all things Antarctic and our special relationship that this city has with the continent.
The last Icefest was held in 2014, with the 16-day event reeling in over 36,000 visitors to the main hub in Cathedral Square and about 50,000 visiting exhibitions at other locations. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
For many online users, an advertisement at the start of your favourite on-demand show or video can be frustrating. But a Christchurch company is hoping to change that, taking their new high-tech product to the world. It's a new way to interact. And it all started right here in Canterbury.
I was asked to come in and meet with some people at the University of Canterbury in the HIT lab at the university, and saw some things going on there that were kind of interesting, and they were focused on this concept of interaction. And I thought, well, there's some opportunity to do some things with that in a really commercial sense.
The homegrown software development company has been busy for nearly a decade creating a new smartphone application to give users what the business says is a new experience.
As we really look at how brands can connect with consumers in this very modern media age where people are consuming media in all sorts of different forms. So they're watching television, they're listening to the radio, they're online, but they're also typically on their phone at the same time as they're doing other things.
Around $2.5 million has been spent to turn this idea into a reality. Now the company, also based in the US, is taking the app to the world.
So we create experiences for brands where, rather than advertising at people on their phones,
many big name companies worldwide have jumped on board, including a dog food business, with 15 million users taking advantage of the new technology worldwide. In this case, it determines what pet you should get that looks similar to you.
They can create these really fun and engaging experiences that people can choose to pick up a product, interact with a product with their phone, and they get this really cool experience.
And it's all thanks to your camera.
That means it can see. So why not pick up a product, look at it with your phone, and get an experience based on what your phone is seeing. We can hear. So the phone's got a microphone, we can listen to what's going on, and we can build experiences based around that.
Some would compare the app like a QR code used on many products to interact with customers by taking a photo, which then takes you to their website. But Plymouth says their product's different.
QR codes have been around for nearly 30 years now. That's a 2D barcode that people are familiar with seeing on their products. And we've developed computer vision technology here in Christchurch to recognise products. So we can actually see which product people are looking at and then build an engagement around that.
Although designed to target a younger audience, they hope to see mobile users not just in New Zealand, but around the globe taking up their creation. And as for those 15-second pop-up ads,
is our pet hate, and we want to be part of the solution that eliminates that from the face of the earth. We really believe that users should be in control of what happens on their device.
The official launch is expected by March next year. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. Still to come, a Facebook post goes viral over a sweet treat. Welcome back. A Canterbury referee has reached a milestone, reffing her 20th first-class rugby match when Canterbury defeated Manawatu at Rugby Park. Gordon Finlater explains.
Chelsea Gurr became just the third woman to bring up the 20th first-class match milestone. The accomplishment has been a long time in the making, with Gurr reffing rugby games for the past 12 years.
I played coach and umpired netball. I then moved to Nelson and was playing social netball, and that turns out I'm a little bit competitive for a social grade, which I was told, so I ended up following my dad to referees to his meeting and sort of went from there when I was 15.
With Gurr's father also a referee, it's hard to argue that it's not in the blood.
I do remember him telling me not that long ago that it's the only thing that he didn't have to rush me out of the door for, so that shows I sort of had some kind of passion in there for myself.
A female officiating what is very much a male-orientated gladiatorial game must come with its challenges. Ger has had to get used to the odd comment, nothing she can't handle though.
I've had many, some relatively funny and some a little bit on the not so funny side, but you don't get this far without having a bit of thick skin. Usually what happens is it's a bit of a shock when I first turn up. I think it's the same with most of us girls. However, sort of 10 minutes into the game, they don't care who you are, what you look like, or if you're a girl or boy, but you end up just being that ref.
In recent years, Ger has been lucky enough to ref on the men's and women's International Rugby 7 circuit. It's not something she envisioned when signing up to ref the game, but the job has come with the added bonus of being able to travel the world.
So we've had Australia, Hong Kong, China, Dubai, London, Amsterdam, Brazil and USA. I think that's it.
While she's been taking centre stage in our women's provincial games in recent years, what does Ger think about the possibility of a female taking charge of a men's NPC game in the future?
Yep. If the fitness criteria and everything matches the boys, I don't see why not. So I think New Zealand Rugby are pretty relatively open to that as long as you're meeting those benchmarks, so which is pretty cool.
And if she's lucky enough to be the first, it will surely be a milestone to remember. Gordon Findlater, CTV Sport.
A sweet-toothed local has possibly come up with the next big craze on the confectionery front. His creation of the K-Block was posted on Whittaker's Facebook page this week, taking the internet by storm. It's possibly his sweetest idea yet, calling himself an ideas man. This long post on social media came close to breaking the internet last night, with this Canterbury suggesting what Whittaker's next combined product should be, taking one of his favourite childhood treats.
I've always enjoyed K-bars, and I like the fact that Whittaker's made them. It was always that little quirk because they seem so unlike all the other stuff they put out. Like it was in the same kind of wrap you'd find 20 years ago. You know, they can just bring those two things together that they already have under their one roof and make something that brings back childhood nostalgia.
Since being online, it has the backing of over 13,000 people who liked the post, being up online for just over 36 hours, not ever thinking it would get so much attention.
I was confident that it was an entertaining idea, at least, didn't anticipate that. So it was really cool to see a lot of people enjoying it.
He also added a write-up explaining why it should be next, saying it's better than the bowl cut and the Macarena. I thought it was still groovy.
It's been really nice to see so many people enjoying it, and it is a little bit of silliness and a bit of fun, but nice that everyone's been so positive about it.
The company was recently named the country's most trusted brand 4 years running, and they've been experimenting with iconic Kiwi brands, creating a new range.
The jelly tip was the most interesting of those. I love Hundreds and Thousands biscuits, big thing from my childhood. Chocolate was good, but the jelly tip combination was definitely the top one.
The L&P one?
Yeah, L&P one was pretty good. It was interesting. Probably something good to try once, and then I'm okay with it after that.
But Boyle believes the K-Bar could be next in the production line.
Just a nice, fun novelty. We've got strong associations with not only the actual food, but the brand as well, and it reminds us of childhood and reminds us of other things. And to have that come together into something, maybe a combination that you wouldn't necessarily expect, it's really fun to try that. In particular, it's like, you want to be the first one out to try that. You want to be the first one to bring it to your friends. So, it's really cool.
Nothing has been confirmed yet. However, Whittaker's replied back to his post.
They said they were going to pass the idea on to their product development manager to see what else they could do. And were kind enough to offer a box of K-bars and creamy milk to experiment on and see what I could come up with.
He decided to give his sweet treats to charity, but he hasn't stopped with the Choc Block.
Recently had the combination of Pascal jet planes and iced animal biscuits. Found those together, great little combination there. Don't know if the two companies can come together to smash that together, but I definitely think there are legs in that one.
But for now, he'll be hoping Whittaker's give the OK to the K-Block. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. And that is CTV News Week in Review. I'm Jared McCulloch. Have a great weekend.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.